ladies and gentlemen. Mist, can you hear me? Can you hear me? I've changed my microphones, but I totally forgot to build a mount for this one. And I forgot to test to make sure that this one reads through. Nope. Okay. We're going to switch it over to this then, and we'll fix that. All right, how's that? Can you hear me now? If not, I just plug in the Bluetooth real quick, or the other one real quick. Is that better? Let me know. I thought I was going to be able to retire the Blue Yeti, but I completely forgot to check and see if the other microphone was good. You can hear me now. Okay, you can hear me now. I don't like this though, so I'm going to set this up for the next podcast anyways, which is next Friday. All right, so welcome to the stream. I apologize for the audio or the audio mix-up on your end, for the microphone mix-up on my end. Completely forgot. I've gotten back into music production, recording, so I've been playing with that. Like I kid you not, I built my own soundproof box. You can't really see that. You kind of see that. Just because I didn't want to have to build an entire studio room and get a MIDI adapter and all that jazz. No go, no want to. And I need to shave bad. So, all right, let's get into this bad boy, huh? If I'm running. Am I running? It's never... I leave the Twitch up on the screen so I can make sure that it loads, and the last 3 times it hasn't actually loaded, so we are good. I'm assuming Mist would have cursed at me by now if I screwed that up. All right, let's get into the program. Children of the Centauran update is going well, going very well. We got the board, we got the cards being created. They're like a day out from being created, and we've done it in a way that we can just plug images and data into the cards. Well, the data is going to populate, but the image will be able to plug in. And well, since we're here, let's talk about the state of the production of Sacrament itself, the MMO. There has been a bit of a hold on this. The 3D level designers that we've had, we still have them. They are, well, it's summertime, and it's a volunteer status, which is a major reason why we're pushing Children of the Centauran out there. And I'm actually going to work on some plans for another product if Children of the Centauran pulls in enough funds to be able to sustain the creation of Sacrament plus a little more, so that we can continue to bring in additional funds. That's future stuff though, a couple years out kind of thing. So I don't want anybody to think that we're full sail and we should have a playable alpha in a few months. I wish that were true, but we don't have enough people who are not affected by the summer bug. So when we start paying people actual salaries, that'll all change. It's a small slowdown for our production speed, being a volunteer crew. In the long scope of things, we had projected the game out 4 to 5 years. That so far is not changing, which is why we're doing other things other than just the main production of the game. So that's all of that. We are still going to be talking about, well, everything else. So let's jump into IR31. IR31 covers Cahldir, the God of Sorrow, the Vermi, and the payment model system, which is very important. Very important. And a lot of companies want to feel their market out to see what they can get away with or what they need to utilize. And we've specifically designed our game with these options in mind. So we'll jump in that in a minute. Cahldir, God of Sorrow. I mean, you know how I do these things. I don't really go into too much detail over the side information. It's what I refer to it as internally. Cahldir and Vermi, they're kind of side information. They're information we want to get out there, but they're not main bulk of information kind of things. That's not to take away from the effort and time that our artists and our lore writers do, because it's very important. But what they're doing is creating a story that a lot of people are going to go to the website and read. They're not going to sit here and listen to me talk about it. So their scope or their engagement is a little different than my engagement. Cahldir takes many forms. Unlike some other deities, he does not have a single appearance and prefers over all others, but one constant is that he takes forms that are terrifying, so large and I don't know, mind flayer type images is what you should think of when you think of Cahldir. So Cahldir works a little differently, and I want to bring this up because some people are going to say, well, that doesn't work. Now you got a reference video to make an argument with your friends, okay? Cahldir enjoys spreading sorrow, and he does so using fear as a tool. So people are going to sit there and say, well, but loss leads to sorrow. Actually, if you want to go dive in, on the most simplistic level, yes, loss leads to sorrow. But loss is not just loss of life. Loss is a loss of a lot of things. Confidence and hope are a huge thing that people lose, that they turn to dread and sorrow over. So fear, terrifying people, is a very simple way to lead into sorrow. It's a little more complex than the overall simplicity of, oh, if I kill your siblings, then of course you're going to be filled with sorrow. Nothing we're doing is simple. So when your friends get upset about that, just tell them, look, this is complex. It's backed by psychological profiles, and just go with it. That's pretty major. It's something one of the founders actually had a major question on, and I walked him through that, and I don't know if he ever agreed on it. He just stopped talking about it. So I'm assuming he just didn't want to argue about it. I don't know. Sometimes Crave will absolutely step back from the conversation if he's fine enough with it not to make it a big deal. So it's hard to tell Crave sometimes. He shows no emotions at all, so I don't even know if he ever worries. Vermi. So this is, you've seen what a Vermi look like from our assassin image. And this is more indicative of the Vermi overall with their special weapons. These are weapons right here, chakras. These are not just... Yeah, I'm assuming you can see my mouse. So the wristlets he has on, those are weapons. Oh, I just realized I look really red right now. That's because I went to the lake a little bit ago and got sunburned. And by a little bit ago, I mean a couple hours ago. I got back like 2 hours ago, had to draw up an entire partnership agreement and ate some pizza, and the sunburn just sat on me. And being pink-skinned, Irish, it doesn't take much for the sun to light me the fuck up. So I apologize for that. No, I don't. I'm the one that paid. Fuck you guys. So around his wrists are his chakras, which are melee throwing weapons. Is there anything I really want to get into? I mean, they've got... So the Vermi have got a few key aspects in our world, especially the world that you guys are going to be experiencing. And that the major one is the underground tunnel. So a lot of races see the Vermi as kind of skittish and untrustworthy. But the higher, the people with a lot more money, they see it a little differently. The Vermi have a complete underground network, which may or may not be disrupted by the time you guys play the game. But this underground network is just a series of tunnels the Vermis have created that they monitor, and they control all traffic in and out, and only Vermi are allowed in these tunnels unless you pay an extra price and a person is actually transported, but that person becomes a good as opposed to an individual entity at this point. So there's nothing but Vermi are allowed in the tunnels, and they transport some of the finer delicate items, some top secret messages and and communiques, and the Vermi usher in this entire underground network that nobody can compare to. So that's one of the key defining traits of the Vermi race within our game. And we went with that because, I mean, they're rat-like people. They're already underground. We might as well use it if we're going to talk about an underground railroad system or something like that. So it made a lot of sense, and we loved it. We went with it. So let's talk about what we're all really here for. Not the rant, the payment model system. So people have asked us this question in the forums, and for most companies this is really a stumper, right? You're worried about what the people following are going to say, and we wanted to build our entire game, our entire company, with a completely different mindset than that. We wanted to build the entire company around being as open and brutally honest as possible, and if you like our product, you would come and support our product. And if you don't like our product, you don't fucking support the product. We're not here to try to fool you into supporting. When we do marketing, we will do marketing to be as brutally honest as possible. We're not going to market you with vague terms and beating around the bush on ideas. We're going to be as blunt as possible because we want to hit our target market. We absolutely respect that. We don't want to play what the typical marketing game is, where it's us against you, where we have to fool you into liking our product long enough to come and purchase it, and then realize you don't like it. And then I think it's like 60% of people return the product, and the rest of them just say, screw it, I just won't ever touch it. And we make money off that. Instead, we've taken quite a few steps out of the equation to get rid of that. For a few reasons. One, I mean, we're a brand new company, right? Nobody knows shit about us. We could absolutely fail at making this game, and we need to be open about that. But we need to give people a reason to want to be here. With that skepticism that's always going to be there, we need to give them a reason to want to be here, and being open and with everything we can be is a reason. I think weeks after we launched our forums, or our website with the forums we're on, there were already 2 or 3 questions specifically about the payment model system. And I think the simple answer would have been, we don't know. Because, you know, that's what everybody reverts to. Or soon, trademarked. It's just what people are used to hearing. And we gave a completely different answer to that. We told people that we were going to use a blended payment model system. And that we would release details on that later. Well, we've released the details now. So the goal here is to provide players with a few choices. But let's get right into the payment model system. So tiers 1 through 5. You guys still hear me? Are we good? I just got a notification that we've got dropped frames. Let me pull it up again. Let's see how we're looking. I think the recording does a physical recording on the drive anyways, regardless of frame loss. So I'll be uploading that recording instead, boys. If this is saying we got drop frames, if you're still there. Advertisements. Let's go. Yeah, I've got a black screen over here. Let me relaunch this bad boy. I'll be back in a couple seconds. Oh, I finally got an image. Alright. Although now I'm just staring. There we go. In and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. So I'm going to make sure to upload the physical saved version of this. Oh my goodness. Twitch, you're killing me, bruh. You're killing me. Oh. Okay, so let's get through this real quick then, yeah? All right. Tiers 1 through 5 in our payment model system. Tiers 1 through 5 will be what we used to call demo, okay? Will be open to everybody. Now, there are some restrictions because we recognize, without a doubt, as gamers who have been playing for 16 years in the MMO space, that there are going to be issues with any aspect of a game that's open to everybody. So we've got restrictions that we specifically feel will help, not wholly prevent the exploitation and presence of bots and gold farmers and gold spammers, stuff like that. So if you're limited action free to play, you've got no add-on support, you've got no global chat, you cannot create chat channels to harass people with, you can only learn rank 1 abilities. Rank 1 abilities are the initial ones you pick up, okay? I think we went through that. Can only loot and wear white and green rarity gear. You can't even upgrade it. Well, you can upgrade it higher than that. No, I think we'll restrict it to prevent even upgrading it higher than that, because that becomes a sellable practice. Can only loot and wear white and green rarity gear. No bonuses applied to it. You cannot initiate trade with the players because that shit's annoying. You cannot use the auction house or visit the market district. The market district, we're talking about the player merchants, not the part of the city where the auction house is. You cannot form guilds or raids. You cannot initiate tells. As always, you should be able to reply to a tell. We don't want people not to be able to go into the game. And you cannot send or receive email. Okay, so, or mail, not email. Well, I guess it's still email. So, what it comes down to is this. We want to open up this 1 to 5 world to players to come and see how the game plays. It's not really going to be all that advantageous for it because it's tier 1 through 5. So really what they're going to be able to experience are the way that the story's set up, the way that quests are set up, general combat mechanics, because they're not going to get a feel for the group necessity of it, just the general way that combat works. And they'll be able to do, local chat like /say, /yell, which is not going to be zone wide, which will be like, 50-meter radius or something like that. And we will address that if we need to. We are fully prepared and fully ready to address that. So that, coupled with the reporting system, coupled with the primary affront to battling bots and spammers and all this illegal activity, is GMs, in-game GMs, in the zones constantly. And the starter zones will likely have more than any other zones out there. But this is all set up specifically so that players can come and get a feel for the game without being restricted from being able to do general things. They can still trade, they just can't initiate the trade, for instance. And I know that's going to be a major issue with gold farmers. But we can't collectively see a way to kind of go about. So one of our founders, Adora, is one of the people that sits in the noob areas, and she likes to help noobs. She likes to communicate with them and help them out with the game and walk them through the process. Typically, these are done in pay-to-play type games, okay? So you're usually talking about the noobs have bought the game and are paying a subscription just to be a noob. Well, I mean, they evolve eventually, but we don't want to combat bots so much that we're removing that aspect, because that's a huge aspect of the community. So it's on all of us, every single one of us, to report any suspicious activity that we see so that it can be investigated, so that it can be taken care of. Couple things that we will have metrics on monitoring is how frequently a certain account may or may not log in. I'm telling you guys this, bots aren't, the people running bots, they're never going to reference this video at all, so they're never going to fucking know. I may not talk about this too much in the future, simply because it will be a method at which we can track people who have stolen accounts or who who are using, 100 different accounts, but they use the same ones to log in game. A player meets them at a set location. The player initiates the trade. They give them gold for an item, and it becomes a valid trade that doesn't flag our system, just like the old school stuff did. Preventing that is nearly impossible without punching that first little whiff of community in the face. And we want people to experience the community for what it is. So it really is our job as the game creators, as the moderators, to have a stern fight on gold selling and spamming and botting and all of those things that really help out with the gold selling. Eventually gold selling is gonna root itself in the game. There's no doubt about that. But we know, because we've seen it before, that we can delay it for a set amount of time. It might be minimal, but a set amount of time by having the correct course of actions. So that's a limited action free to play. So that goes tier 1 through 5. At the end of tier 5, if you're doing the story, there will be a kind of a mock raid, so you can get a feel for how the raid goes. So 12 players, nothing too difficult. Limited action buy to play restrictions. Now, these restrictions will likely adjust. They've already adjusted once. The free to play really haven't. The buy to play, they have adjusted. They've become a lot more lenient. The only major restrictions we've got is still they can't get. You can get 2 tier 16 content, but you can't participate in any of the quests or the faction or the raids out there or any of that key stuff out there. You can't participate in. Killing mobs will not net you any drops. It will only net you EXP and currency drops equivalent to your currently highest flag tier. So there's really no value in players except for to explore and to simply prove that they can do it. To go out there and participate in the tier 16 plus content, because the overworld content is essentially mini raid fights. All right, so the buy to play, you can only have up to 10 created add-ons in the add-on store. That means if you're an add-on creator and you love creating add-ons, then you can have 10 of them in the store. Now, we call it a store. I don't believe there's going to be any actual currency requirement for it. I don't think there should be. I want to say there isn't going to be, but I don't want to speak for all the founders. I don't remember if we've talked about that. It's a store, just the name of it. We'll probably change the name, because store tends to lead the idea that you got to pay for it, and I don't want that. We might have the capability to donate. I think we should have the capability to donate, because the add-on creators are taking time out of their game to create the add-ons for players, and I know there's a lot more incentive if players invest in the add-on creator. So we do plan on allowing petitions to increase that. If it's a popular add-on creator and they need room to create more add-ons, there's not going to be any issue with submitting a petition and having the capability to expand that. So can only create up to 5 additional chat channels. For most people, this isn't going to be a problem. The only time you really get over the 5 point is when you're in a progressive type guild, and you've got chat channels for healing and for CC and for raid tanks and melee DPS and range DPS, and then your classes also have their own chat channels. So the only time chat channels really get that big, when an individual person needs to make more than that, then that's it. I should probably say join up to 5 additional chat channels. Create is, yeah. Can only learn rank 3 spells through tier 15, so that only limits rank 4, which, again, most beta players, honestly, are going to be players who are role players, or players who are more casual, don't get that much time and just don't have the time to get to tier 16 progression, more than anything else. Long-term endgame, and this will adjust to suit that, but long-term endgame, most players in the buy to play section are really going to be your role player types. Can only loot and wear up to purple rarity gear. That's only one rarity less. That's gold. No other restrictions on that. Can only have up to 20 items on the auction house at once. And that specifically, and we still have to monitor, is to kind of edge a little bit more on the gold spammers when they like to bot out items, crafting nodes, teleport to them. Then they'll cut the sales by half on the market just to sell them real quick to get gold and push it over to another account. That's kind of there to help limit those. If that doesn't need to be implemented, we'll remove it. If it's proving to help, we'll continue to maintain that aspect. And then full access pay to play. This is your subscription model. Right now the price is looking at $10 an hour. Oh, y'all would kill us. $10 per month, and that will. I've got plans that I've been working on writing up. Drafting the wording is incredibly difficult. To have that a fluctuating amount, as in, if we've got let's say 200,000 people subscribing at $10 a month, that covers all of our maintenance fees and pay salaries. Okay. I think the magic number was like 253,000 or something like that. If we wind up with say 12 million players, then that we don't need the $10 per month. That's massive overkill. And as much as I'd love to be able to say I could buy a fucking island, I don't need to. None of us here need to. All that additional money, we can only do so much with it. You know what I'm saying? We can only contribute so much to charity. We can only contribute so much to R&D and new technologies and building new video games in different areas and helping new and upcoming video games. I mean, eventually it gets to a point where there's simply just an excess of money. So the idea is to monitor that income, monitor that pattern, and create a fluctuation that helps the player base out a little bit. I'm not going to say a lot, but a little bit, and it can fluctuate down to say $5 a month or $3 a month, whatever the case may be. Those are my plans to present to the team. It's going to depend on where they sit on the idea of excess funds. So, but that is the plan for that. I apologize if you heard me drink. I forgot the mic's right here. I hate that shit. I didn't renumber these. All right, so let's move on to Landon's rant. Yeah, it's Steam, man. They're doing something. I'm having issues over on my end. Crave's having issues over on his end. I'm getting it freeze here and there. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I've got a fresh boot on the computer. Let me open my door and see if that helps. I mean, that doesn't let in a lot of cool air or anything, but maybe it helps. I don't know. All right. Again, I'm going to type this out too. Again, I'm going to, instead of uploading this to YouTube straight from here. Oh yeah, I didn't. Same whatever. Not same thing. I don't want Steam suing me over some dumb shit. This will load a file on my device that won't be all screwed up. So I'm going to take that file and upload it to YouTube as opposed to pushing from Twitch this time around, because I don't want that. Sorry, I'm typing it out. All right. Whoa. I'm a little better clarity wise from the 4th of July, but man, I still a little off. Next week should be better. 3 weeks in a row, man. This is killer. All right. So, this isn't really a Lanham's rant this time. This is more of a question that I want to send out to everybody and their mother. Okay, we've only got a few IRs left, and the bulk of that is information about our deities, our races, and our classes. And I mean the bulk of it. We've got some additional information coming from side systems, but nothing that will or won't make or break the game. I don't believe. I mean, I don't have the files up in front of me right this second, but I'm pretty sure that the rest of our information releases are all side system stuff. I think add-ons may be one of the other things. Again, though, I really don't believe add-ons are going to make or break. If we provide a high-quality game, nobody's really going to give a shit about add-ons. Yeah, so epic items, it's a side system. Looks like we're going, because we adjusted some things on itemization, so we're going to go in depth with that again. The mount system, side system. Add-on, side system. Character creation, side system. NPC, AI, and threat. A side, well, not really a side system, but just a part of an already system. Tournament layout, and this was something we talked about a long time ago. Skills and how they work and evolve, and more depth on that. Player merchants, side system, and that's it. And then we just got races and classes at that point. So, I mean, we're talking about what we're going to talk about now, and that is, you've seen what we're making. Literally, you've seen all of our primary systems. Now is the time for us to ask the question. Because when it comes down to it, as long as you have the game, anybody can build the game. Anybody can organize. Anybody can get funds. I say this understanding. Why is this mute? I don't know why that was mute. That shouldn't have been muted. I say this with a full understanding that I don't mean anybody, right? Some Joe Schmo that has no idea how to lead a business, has zero money to their name and no chance in hell of ever generating capital. Obviously, they're going to struggle building capital. What I'm saying is, any company out there right now, okay? Let's define our scope a little more. Any company currently out there can build an MMO, okay? Any of them. They're all doing it to insane fucking levels of disappointment, okay? Some of us enjoy a couple of the games that are out there. There's not much, and the argument's always the same, or the way that you talk about it's always the same. It's usually, but this is the best out there right now. But when you really love something, you're not even thinking about comparing it to other shit. It's the best game I've played, or I absolutely fucking love this game, or there's a different way you talk about those games versus the games we currently have on deck, okay? So let's say Blizzard picked this game up, and they built this game. The defining factor on whether or not you're going to enjoy the game is nothing to do with whether or not Blizzard's building the game. It's how the game actually fucking turns out. It's how the game actually plays out. What are the systems? And you're going to ask Blizzard a million questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, you missed it, Geeky. Dude, I got sunburned a couple hours ago. I didn't put on suntan, the sunblock, until I already went into the water. It was stupid. I usually never do it. I don't know why the fuck I did it today. And this is why I usually never do it. I'm glowing right now, bro. So, anyway, all right. So the question is, are you really, because we've already made our decision on this. We made this decision a year and a half ago, okay? It's been a year and a half now. To begin the campaign of trying to show other gamers that you can actually build a good fucking MMO. That it's really not that damn difficult. That it takes a little bit of understanding of what the gamers want. Sure, absolutely. A lot of consideration for game design and how you want to lay your game out and how all the systems interact with each other. Absolutely. And maybe I'm saying it's not that difficult because it wasn't that difficult for us to build. But we did have a little bit more insight. So maybe, all right, fair enough. Maybe it's really fucking difficult. What I'm saying is, though, you've seen our game. You see everything there is to know about our game. The only thing left at this point is to build the game. But what's stopping us from building the game? Money is stopping us from building the game. So my question is this game that you've seen, all these systems you're seeing, a lot of them you've seen work in other games. These aren't just paper ideas, right? These are things that we've talked about in part, not in whole. Well, I mean, they can all see it now, but in part with several game designers and developers who have already been in this in the industry for quite some time. Collectively, some 45 fucking years. None of them have any issue with this. Honestly, we'd have a lot of developers on our damn team from other industry or from within the industry if we had the money to pay them. But they don't do pro bono work, you know? So they've already been at that point where they've contributed their free time. So for you, for all gamers out there, for those of us that want a game where we can be challenged, where there's community, where quests mean something, items mean something, where completing something actually means something, something we can enjoy and dive into. Unreal Engine 4. The question now is, what's keeping you from supporting this project? What's keeping your friends who are constantly bitching about the state of MMOs, just like we do, just like you do? What's keeping them from supporting this project? Honestly, what I'm not asking a rhetoric here. I'm not asking for people to go look inside themselves and consider. I'm asking for legitimate questions. What else do you want to see that's keeping? And if it's a working prototype, homie, couple things on that. One, it's coming. It's going to take some time, okay? None of us here are rich. It's going to take time. We're working with volunteers, okay? You're asking for a lot out of people who are trying to show you that we have the system designed down to create an MMO, but need the capital to do it. You're asking us to create capital out of thin air and get you a working prototype. Okay. We're already working on that. Give me something realistic, honestly. If it's, well, how will I know my investment is protected? That's a great question. That's what paperwork's all about. I'm dead serious. This is exactly what paperwork is all about. Well, I don't believe a small studio can do it. That's funny, because you sure as fuck enjoy MMOs, and this entire industry was created off of tiny little no-name studios that didn't exist. Now we have better technology, much better resources, and the only thing left is the fact that we live in a capitalistic world where if you don't have money, you can no longer compete. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can't build a small farm in my front yard unless I have the money to maintain that farm and then sell enough product to the grocery store, which I hate to break it to some of you, is about 75 grand in a single year, just for the hopes that they're going to pick up my cucumbers and zucchini and all this shit that I'm growing. We live in a world where the money is the one thing that holds every new industry back, every new company back. So what is it that we're missing now? Because we've shown you a hell of a motherfucking game. Geeky, man, if that was the answer for everybody, Geeky, I'd absolutely love that answer. That's a great. I'm fine with that. Underage, that's cool, because guess what? We're building a card game right now with developers that were not suited to work on the MMO, or didn't want to work on the MMO, I should say. Not suited. They didn't feel comfortable working on an MMO, but they feel more than comfortable working on the card game. Building a card game, in a year, you'll be able to support a suited card game. More power to you. And ultimately, this is why we went with the card game. As I stated before in the beginning, I firmly had hope, and I really did believe that we could show people an astounding game design and people would go for it. Okay? When it comes to the failure of most MMOs, if you can find the game design anywhere, you can determine whether or not that game's going to be shit or not. We're not joking around here. Look how many times, How many times have we gone on forums to many unnamed games, and said, well, what are you going to do with this, this, and this? And then they said, oh, well, this, and this. And all three or one of the answers was really wrong. And you said, but you can't do that. Well, why not? Because that will never work in an. You don't understand your market if you think that they're going to accept that. It's not that you're evolving the situation. It's that you're limiting the situation. You cannot do that. You don't understand shit about the MMO market if you think that the 3 or 4 people who support that idea are convincing you that the entire market's going to accept it. You want to make MMOs after Uni? What's Uni? You have to tell me what Uni is. I feel like I should know what that is. I don't know. Unity? I don't know. So we're at a point right now, right, where we are now asking gamers, MMO gamers. It's been a year and a half, okay? It's been a year since a little more than a year since we started talking. Just a little more than a year. I think we started talking about it in March or April. I don't remember. First updates on the board somewhere. And the first complaint we had was, oh, they got nothing on their website. It's a bland layout. Well, no shit. That's because we have a plan. That's because we understood. And we fully understand that when you release all of your information firsthand, you don't come back to the website at all. And people are sitting there wondering what the hell your team's doing. You give no updates. You're not communicating with your community. Although there's something you really have to have, and I mean really have to have with an MMO, whether it's in development or not, you really have to be connected to your community, especially in today's age, okay? So that was our first argument that got shot out the wind. So here we are a year later, and the same people are now saying, well, you don't have capital. Well, yeah, but you're not saying it's a shitty game. So how can we go about building capital? I mean, you want this game to happen, we want this game to happen. There are a lot of things that we can do to make that work. A lot of things that we can do to make that work. I mean, so many things. And I've expressed that interest with a couple of high-profile individuals. And my co-founders did not really like the way that I expressed that. But if you want to make money and you want to make a game, when you need money to make that game, you're going to have to give a little in order to get a little. So, I say again, what is it? And there's really nothing you can name that's going to remove, unless it's, give us all of your rights in your game and we'll build it for you. It's never going to happen. What is it that players still need to see before they support a game that they actually want to play? That's the question. That's not a rhetoric. I'm serious. I want to know. I really want to know. Ask your buddies. Tell them, all right, if you saw an entire game and it was done by an indie company and the only thing that you needed to see was the entire game design, and you saw it and you really liked it, what would keep you from donating money and investing in that company? And maybe that's the difference, right? Maybe the difference is between the word donating and investing. I'm just saying, think about it. When I say what is it you want, I mean what is it you want. Again, this game is for the gamers, by the gamers. We are not looking to get filthy rich. We just want a fucking game to play. It doesn't get any simpler than that. It really doesn't. I can't think of an example of how it could be simpler than that. So, now's the time where we got to figure it out. What's the difference? And I'm not, like I've said, we've got Children of the Centaur in our back pocket. Fortunately, we were able to come up with a game design for a card game that has never been seen before. And you guys have seen that design. That's a really simple design compared to an MMO. That's insanely freaking simple. I mean, we're talking, if we get to serious work on this and everything's flowing, and we have had some hiccups in the initial creative process, but we had everything starting to fire off at once, and there's always hiccups there. Companies try to hide it. There's always hiccups in that initial phase. Our coders are ready to roll. They've already got the mock-up board that they are working with. They're just waiting on just one card. One card! Adora! One card! To be able to start coding the fuck away. They already understand how to code it, where they're going to go with it. They just have to have things to apply it to. We are ready to fire on every cylinder we can consider for the card game. And that card game may generate us all of the capital we need, as well as the industry credibility that we need to prove that we can make an MMO. At that point in time, though, right, if we got the capital, we're dead set on building this damn thing. I don't really give a shit about the industry credibility at that point. I'm going to show you I'm making this. You can define my credibility 50 years. I still won't give a shit, because I'll have made a card game and an MMO that I absolutely love. So, all right. Let's close this bad boy out then. Yeah. So, as stated, if you're especially a 3D level designer on an MMO scale, and you work with shit. What is it? Unreal Engine 4. Sorry, and C++. I don't know if the level designers need C++. I don't think they do. We have down below, we have a volunteer forum. Hit that bad boy up. I will respond to you very quickly. Okay. Hey, what's that, like a 4-year course? So, in 4 years, right? We might be able to hire you as what we're internally referencing as an emergency dev. And when we say emergency dev, we mean we know how launch goes for an MMO. It's always hectic and crazy. We want double capacity devs on deck who we can then move on to the creation of new assets, not just for temporary standing. So we might be able to hire you for that at that point. Who knows? All right. So 3D level designers. If you are a 2D level designer, i.e. you like to draw maps and you want to put that shit to use, hey, fill out that form as well. We have one, but he's really damn slow. John, I'm talking to you, boy. He's insanely slow. Insanely slow. Our level designs are insanely complex. Yeah. We'll provide samples when we actually have them. Creature modelers, huge thing for us. That's for the MMO, okay? Creature modelers, programmers. I think the 3 programmers right now want to remain the only 3. They've got a really good team going. They've worked with each other for the last like 6 or 7 years, a long time. They're rather efficient in what they do, what they've done before previously. They're really quick at what they've done before, so the only thing that's ever really held them up is art assets. Oddly enough, that's what's holding them up right now, with a company that has the individuals to provide the art assets. So, something we're dealing with internally. Yeah, programmers for the MMO. C++ is the major, okay? C++, from what I understand, it runs absolutely smoothly in Unreal Engine 4. So C++ is where we want you. If you know anybody who deals with servers, any server capability, please, please, please send them my way. For the love of goodness, send them my way. And again, and always, our Patreon is live for those that want to help with the monthly cost of the development of the game. Our 3D level designers may not be going as quickly as we want them to, but we still are building the game, and that includes everything. We're modeling creatures, modeling assets, and so that we can put them in the game, and pretty much everything you can think of. We are going to town on it. We just don't have any place to put it right this second. Facebook and Twitter pages. Hit up our Facebook and our Twitter if you want to stay up to date on information. The Sacrament Reddit page is out there, but again, we will not really be keeping that active until a future date. Not too long, but somewhere down the road. Unless we can get a social individual who wants to jump on board and help us out with our social networking program and keep Reddit up to date. Website and forum links. On our website, we have on the front page, we have the link to the, where is it down here? The Sacrament newsletter, which is working. I can see people opening the newsletter and interacting with the newsletter, so awesome. We're vibing on that. The forum does have a sign up. Right now it is still open to all. We are locking that down. Having a small communication issue, but our webmaster is also in some medical shit. So, you know, volunteers and like I tell all my volunteers, your physical and mental health and financial health comes before this game does. It has to. You're volunteering here. We don't want you burning out before we get a chance to pay you full time. Volunteer form below. If you've got any traits that you want to utilize to help build this game, fill it out. So, and then the Sacrament Roundup next week, which means I don't have 3 in a row. Why did I say 3? Y'all let me say 3 in a row. So I'm not doing a podcast next week because Sacrament Roundup is next week. And you will be able to get a snippet, a really quick, I think it's like a 2-minute snippet of what's been going on for the past 2 weeks in Sacrament, in the world of Ferocity Unbound. Not just Sacrament. We hit everything. I think originally it was named after Sacrament, and they realized it had to expand as we created a second product up here. So, all right. So, if anybody's got any questions, hit me up. I'll be in the chat for a minute. Crave will be there for another minute. Or head on over to the forums and ask away. Honestly, it doesn't matter what you ask as long as it's not something personal like how small my penis is. I mean, I don't need to cry myself to sleep, okay? Be gentle.